School just started Monday, so it's kind of crazy up there. We actually have our all-time highest enrollment, and if you walk around, you're going to... The kids are excited, and nobody's tweeting about me yet, so that's going great. I'm really thinking about growing a mullet. I think that seems to have worked for Mike, so maybe we can do that. You know, when my popularity, my approval rating goes in the dirt is when they forecast snow, because then I get these at Burns Hargis, man up, close school, or at Burns Hargis, don't put my child at risk. Now, it was the child that wrote that. It was not the parent. My favorite we had a couple of years ago, we did have a big snow. I mean, I grew up part of the time in Canada, so I don't understand this closing for snow. But in any event, this kid tweeted, because we stayed open, the kid tweeted, at Burns Hargis, would you come get me? I'm in a ditch. So it gets brutal, but I hope you're not getting those kinds of tweets in your world. I'm gonna make fast work of this because my job, I think, is to create the nexus between and the importance between economic development and higher ed. And I think it's generally accepted that there is a strong nexus because, after all, we're training the talent that our industries need. And if they can't get that talent, either they're not going to grow or they might actually leave. So it's very important that we have more college grads. If you look at the charts, it's a linear correlation between per capita income and percentage of college graduates. And unfortunately, in Oklahoma, we have about 24%. 24% of us have college degrees. The national average is about 30%, but if you look at states like Connecticut or Massachusetts and places like that, they're up in the 40s and 50s. In fact, Washington, D.C. is actually the highest. I don't know what that says about our country, but we don't have enough grads to fill the jobs we have now open. We have about 18,000 jobs open right now. And they say by 2020, 2/3 of the jobs will require some post-secondary education. So really, more grads is a silver bullet. I mean, it really will propel Oklahoma forward because we're giving all these incentives, great incentives to companies, but we're not giving them the human capital that they need to really be successful. And there's a lot of impediments, and Aurora's talking about some of them. The challenge is, for example, Boeing, Tinker, I hear constantly from all of them, Nordam, American Airlines Maintenance Facility, they need more engineers. We've doubled our engineering school at Oklahoma State in the last 7 years. And one of the ways we did it was, the big hurdle was calculus. These students want to major in engineering, but they had not gotten the training in calculus they needed to do college calculus. So now we give a test, it's called the ALEC test, to these students, and if they're not ready for college calculus, we don't let them enroll. We've turned half a floor of the library into a math learning lab, and we start working with them. Well, it's skyrocketed. The DEF and withdrawal rate has just plummeted in calculus. So the better Aurora can train those kids in calculus, the less we have to do and more engineers we can turn out. This college, as Teresa said, I actually was chairman of this chamber, very proud of that time, but I was also vice chair of economic development when this guy showed up, Roy Williams. And we were just reminiscing. When we were recruiting Dell, I can't remember what year that was, but we were at Presbyterian Health Foundation and put on a heck of a performance. I actually thought I did great, as he modestly says. And so this guy from Dell, and he's all business. He said, no small talk. He said, listen, we're looking at other cities. We learned it was Orlando. We're looking at other cities, and everybody's got nice people and good weather and good transportation system and all that. But what you don't have that we're worried about is enough college grads, because we're going to use a lot of college grads. And we've talked to the Okies that work for us in Round Rock, and they don't want to come home. And so we kind of gulped and ended up doing a poll for them to show that if college grads had the same job, the same money, they'd come back or they'd stay in Oklahoma. And that poll showed that. And they finally decided to come to Oklahoma City instead of Orlando. So that's proof positive of how important it is to have the talent and have the grads here. As far as economic development, higher ed is a big driver of economic development. Some studies show that it contributes about $9 billion to our economy every year. I always learned, I learned some in economics, that economic development happens when money comes from outside a region into the region. If it doesn't come from outside in, you're just trading money. But if it comes from outside, and it doesn't matter where it comes from. It can come from the federal government, it can come from a company, it can come from another country, as long as it comes from outside in. Well, higher ed, certainly OU and OSU, bring in a lot of money from out of state. Oklahoma State brings in tuition and fees from non-resident students. And by the way, this year's class, thanks to Kyle Ray, has 35% from out of state. We take every Oklahoma kid that's eligible that wants to come. We bring in, and grants and contracts from the federal government, we bring in about $340 million a year. Our foundation raises about $180 million a year. If they ever do a statue of me at OSU, I'll have my hand out. But that's well over $500 million. Well, any economist would multiply that by 4 or 5 times to figure out what the effect of that is. And OU would have a very similar numbers. If we were companies, they'd give us an incentive. I think they say for every dollar the state spends, and thank you, Leslie, for trying to help us out. Every dollar the state spends, they get about $4 back. It's a great investment. So the other thing that's very important is that we're developing a lot of great talent. We're developing the leaders of tomorrow. We at Oklahoma State believe that what goes on inside the classroom is very important, but what goes on outside is just as important. That's where these kids learn leadership. That's where they learn how to work with other people and make things happen. And we really challenge them. I mean, it was our students who came up with the tobacco-free. We're the first university in America to go tobacco-free. I mean, we don't have anywhere you can go smoke. I did have a professor who sued us on an ADA claim that smoking was good for him. He had a note from his doctor that it was good for his digestion or something. So we gave him a place to smoke over by where all the satellite dishes were. I thought there might be some radiation that... And I'm exaggerating a little bit. But I did walk out there, and he was smoking right outside the student union. I said, "You can't smoke here." And he said, "You don't know who I am." "Oh, yeah, I know who you are." "And I gave you a place to smoke right over there by a big satellite dish." And he said, "Well, but it's too sunny. I can't play backgammon there." And I said, "There's nothing in the ADA that requires me to give you a place where you can play backgammon." So these jobs aren't easy, believe me. The other thing I want people to understand is we're in a competitive business. We're competing, OSU is not just competing with OU. We're competing with other universities, certainly Kansas State, now Alabama, Ole Miss. I mean, there's a lot of schools that we're competing against. And our enrollment keeps growing, and that's because we're competing well on quality and on price. And we need to continue to do that. But as we get these cuts, you really end up having to look at tuition and fees. And right now, we have about the lowest tuition and fees in the Big 12. And that helps our students. They can afford it. Only half of our students even have any debt. And that debt is far below the national average. So we're trying to keep this thing affordable, but sooner or later, to be able to hire the faculty and pay them a competitive salary, to be able to put in the labs that you need, to have all of the facilities that you need, and to have the amenities that you need, to attract students who will pay these fees, tuition and fees, is essential. I mean, we found with MAPS here in Oklahoma City that amenities are not just amenities. They're necessities. And that's exactly why we have to keep moving forward on the quality that we give. So when you walk on that OSU campus, I want you to say, wow, this is beautiful, I love it, and I want you to say these faculty members are the best I've ever had, and I want to be able to recruit great faculty who can do great research and bring a lot of money in from outside. And that is a real challenge, the way we're going. So we're going to have an absolute initiative to increase the number of college grads. And right now, the reason we really can't, we've tried everything. We've gone self-insured. We've got a purchasing system that saved a lot of money. Our energy management system, which is really all behavioral, has basically saved us about $38 million over the last 7 years. So we're doing everything that we can. But you can't do more. But Boone Pickens said he used to ask his dad if they could do something, and his dad would say, no, Boone, we can't. There's 3 reasons we can't do that. And he said, okay, what are they? He said, well, the first one is we don't have the money. He said, okay, what are the other 2? He said, they don't matter. So that's kind of where we are. Why can't you have more grads? Well, we don't have the money. Because we do have to, it does take money, and I can't put it all on the backs of our students and their families. So at the end of the day, I think our colleagues at OU are doing well. By the way, the rivalries that we have between each other really take place on the field. We work together in many, many ways. We have a big program with OU right now where we're working our UAV drones program and their tornado work were coming together. I met with their research vice president this morning before I came down. So we're working closely together. There's a big task force that the state regents have put together to see how we can be more efficient. We're doing shared services for our A&M schools, and doing back office work and trying to come up with ways to save money. And Aurora's right. I mean, these things make you do things you wouldn't otherwise probably embark on. But I can tell you that we and by the way, we don't have that $1.2 billion. Some people, some of them are state gifts, so we need cooperation. Come on, I'm going to let you out of here. You got to be a little quicker than that. But seriously, a lot of them are state gifts, a lot of them are pledges, so we don't have all that money. But we're going to continue to raise money, and we're going to continue to invest and make Oklahoma State the kind of university that will attract and we can compete favorably against anybody in the country. We're building a new performing arts center, and some people would say, well, why are you doing that with all this trouble? Well, that's just the arts are a big part of your education. And by the way, in October of 2019, the New York Philharmonic has signed up to open our new Performing Arts Center. It's called the McKnight Center. So I'm not going to sit here and cry about our budget problems, even though we work cut more than anybody else. But I'm not going to make a big point of that. I just hope that if there is a special session, I hope people will really look in their heart and what they need to do for our children and for our future, and frankly for our companies and our economy. I love this state. It's a great state. I'm like Aurora. I was born in Texas, but I got smart. In fact, my wife was the University of Texas. I got her up here, so her orange has become much brighter than it was. But this is a great state with great people. We've just got to get more of us educated so that we can serve the future. Thank you very much.